Well, the weekend has begun. So, for today's episode, we're going to be reviewing two events. The first one, of course, is one that I did not actually see on the day, but I was thankful that I decided, what the hell, let's do it. New Japan Pro Wrestling with their Chicago event, Windy City Riot, featuring, of course, championship matches. Like, of course, the strong openweight tag team belts, the West Coast Wrecking Crew defend their belts against the Jet Setters. Then, of course, we have a number one contendership for the Strong Women's Championship. And, of course, the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is defended. And then, of course, we jump into AEW Collision. As you probably figured out, FTR gave their answers on why they turned their backs, of course, on Cope and did what they did. And then, of course, we continue with more of the Owne Hart Cup tournament with more of the first round matches. So the real question is, who will be advancing? That's going to be a very good question. And then, as always, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, what's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted WrestleZone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Excuse me. Now, all introductions been said. I believe it's time to get the show on the road. So let's begin with New Japan Pro Wrestling with Windy City Riot. Alright, New Japan Pro Wrestling. So let's begin with, of course, with the main card. The first match, of course, we have Tom Lawlor versus TJP. Nothing too special about this one. As you know, TJP, as you all know, recently put out that he is officially a free agent from New Japan, but there's been discuss about him returning to WWE. It's still unclear when it's gonna happen. That's the thing we don't know. But however, he and Tom Lawlor really had a pretty good match. I mean, there was some back and forths here who was gonna pick up the win, but in the end, it was TJP with the Black Mamba, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Our next match is a number one contendership for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship. So basically, whoever walks out as the winner will face Mercedes Moné for this belt at Resurgence. So basically, it's Azumi versus Mina Shirakawa. Now, Azumi has made a play for this belt before. on obvious reasons. She believed that this belt is the kind that would get her closer to say hi to her old mentor and friend, and of course, the original leader of Queen's Quest, Io Sky. Mina Shirakawa, as you know, who's been well known throughout the wrestling world, what she can do. Well, that's one of the things, and this is one of her goals, as you know, but also a chance to get even with Mercedes Moné after losing the British Undisputed Women's title recently. So that's pretty much what happened. But of course, Azumi and Mina, of course, there was no holdbacks by either one. It's like both of them are determined to try their best to win this match in order to get a shot of it. But unfortunately, this match ended in a double countout after 11 minutes and 43 seconds. So basically, it was a double countout, nobody won. However, during the post match comments, Rocky Romero made the decision to call it, saying, okay, how about this? The two of you will face Mercedes Moné in a three-way in Resurgence. So Mercedes Moné has to defend her belt in a three-way. So that's going to be very interesting to see. Now, our next match, we have the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team belts. The West Coast Wrecking Crew, a bunch of dickheads, of course. As you know, they've been bitching about all this about them being the tag team champions and all this other stuff and try to prove themselves. Now they face against the Jet Setters, a well-recognized team, of course, former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team champions. So basically, you figure out how this match was going to go. However, Royce Isaacs, being the dickhead that he is, decided, it was best to low blow Kushida when the ref did not look, and then applied, of course, a German suplex on him, and just like that, won the match. However, it appears someone has their sights set on these belts, and that is, of course, El Capitan himself, TJP. So the real question I think many of you may ask, who will be most likely to teaming up with him for these belts? I have to say that's a very good question. So we'll see. Our next match is for the Strong Openweight Championship between Tomohiro Ishii and Gabe Kidd. Now, Gabe Kidd, as you all know, he never shies away to back up what he says that comes out of his mouth. Despite that he talks too much, he fought every inch that he has to put away Ishii. Now, there was a bit more of a 2 out of 3 falls match set up on this one. The first fall goes to Gabe Kidd until he put, of course, Ishii in the power driver. Second fall goes to Ishii, and I don't remember exactly how he won, but he won. But however, the third fall, well, this happened right in between before the end of the third fall. The match kind of excluded, and apparently there was a tie. However, the referee made the decision, give 5 more minutes more on this match, and that's exactly what happened. So basically, no time to waste. But in the end, it was Ishii with the vertical brainbuster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, brand new Strong Openweight Champion. Now, our next match, we had a very interesting tag team match. We have Rocky Romero teaming up with El Fantasma. So I have to say, maybe this is the first time, but they face against LIJ's Titan and Tetsuya Naito. Now, I cannot recall if those two ever teamed up before. I know Titan has teamed up with, of course, guys like Hiromu and Bushi, that sort of thing. But, however, I wasn't too sure how this was going to go. However, certain makeshift teams, you can tell they may not work too well, but there was a miscue coming from El Fantasma that he was about to do sudden death on Naito, but, however, Naito dodged it. Rocky got caught in the crossfire, and this resulted, of course, for El Titan to apply the El Mortal onto Rocky Romero, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Our next match, you can say this is a rematch to what happened in, of course, the New Japan Cup. This year's winner of the New Japan Cup, David Finlay, faces against the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Zack Sabre Jr. So this is more of a right or wrong that Zack Sabre Jr. has to write back after losing to David Finlay and unsuccessful to win the New Japan Cup. But of course, David Finlay will bounce back one thing or another. Of course, he did say that his biggest goal is to defeat the House of Torture for what they were been causing. However, this match was going to be good no matter what it took. And then, of course, in the end, it was Zack Sabre Jr. with the Zack Driver. 1, 2, 3. It was done. Next match, we have the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Shota Umino challenges Hiroki Goto. Now, this match, as you know, we have seen Shota Umino has changed a lot ever since losing to Khan. Now he reinvented himself, trying to be something else because, of course, Khan, I feel like Khan should have just kept his mouth shut because he felt like, I like to say Khan is a bit of a hypocrite, in my opinion. So Shota Umino throw everything at him what he got, but of course in the end Goto applied the GTR, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, before a main event, New Japan had a little visit from the EVPs of AEW, the Young Bucks, and it appears that now they're declaring war against the War Dogs, but they hinted a couple of friends will be coming for them. Now, some people question, why would the Bucks want to have a confrontation with the War Dogs? I don't know. I don't know if the War Dogs said some negative things towards, of course, the Bucks because of their time with the Bullet Club. That's a very good question. But yes, we'll see what happens, and this may take place in Resurgence, so we'll stay tuned more to that. Now, main event, Konosuke Takeshita taking on Hiroshi Nahashi. Basically, this is one of those matches where Takeshita will put down the ace once and for all. And of course, this was a brutal match no matter what. I mean, Tanahashi, we have seen how much his entire body has been deteriorating over time. I mean, we know he has bad knees, but he pushed through as much as possible. But in the end, it was Takeshita with the raging fire. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, he wins the match. So I have to say it was a pretty good event. So I enjoyed it mostly. So I think we are officially done with New Japan. Let's move on with AEW Collision. Okay, AEW Collision. Now, it opened up with FTR doing their promo. Now, I think the many question we ask ourselves, why did the FTR did what they did in Dynasty to cope? So apparently they've been looking back at everything that happened with them, like mistakes that were made, all this and that. I mean, they even had a gratitude towards him. But however, because of the recent activities going on with FTR and Cope, this led to it. But however, that wasn't the bigger case. The bigger case is Dax Harwood was pissed off for what Tony Schiavone said his about him, about the kind of message he sends to his daughter, and I think that he took offense to it. Not to mention they were attempting to spike power drive him, but luckily Daniel Garcia tried to reason with them. Well, Nigel tried to intervene, and then Daniel Garcia showed up. So basically, that's a lot of things that happened. Now, Toni Storm, as you probably guessed, our current AEW Women's Champion, is in fact paying attention what's going on in the Owen Hart Cup. Basically, she will pay attention to her potential challengers at All In. So she said some things to say about opponents like Jamie Hayter, Athena, Mercedes Moné, Billy Starks, that sort of thing, and Chris Statlander. So she said she'll be paying attention closely. Now, resulting of that, we are talking about one of our opening round matches featuring Jamie Hayter and Billy Starks. Now, Billy Starks, as you know, has shown a lot of potential over the year and a half, and that's pretty much what she can do. But however, she's facing against a former AEW Women's World Champion, and that plays it out pretty well. However, Jamie was able to pick up the win when she applied, of course, the Haterade, and just like that, it was over. So her opponent that she will face will be none other than Chris Statlander. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the Death Riders, as you probably heard, apparently they got a man down, and that man is none other than Pac. So basically, as you all hear, the Ops made it clear that they will have a shot of the AEW World Trios belt after what happened this past Wednesday. However, Jon Moxley stepped up to take his place to ensure that these belts do not leave of course, the Death Riders, but we'll see what happens. Our next match, we have the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Tail Leona taking on Crash and Burn. However, I don't know who these guys were, but if you guys can guess, this match ended in favors of Gates of Agony when they applied Open the Gates on one of them, and then of course it was Bishop Khan who picked up the win with the pinfall, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, now after what we saw earlier in the day, Daddy Magic and Cool and Ange confronted FTR for what transpired, where of course FTR shoved Daniel Garcia. So it seems that they put themselves in the match against them. So that's pretty much what's going to happen later on. Our next match, we have of course Anthony Bowens, as you know, made his return recently in Dynasty. He faced against Blake Christian. However, of course, when it comes to Blake Christian, he has his own partner by his side. We're talking about Lee Johnson, and of course Lee Johnson tried to get involved, but of course Billy Gunn, being in the corner of Anthony Bowens, took care of business and took him out. But it was of course was Anthony Bowens with his move called the Molly Whopper, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, and he won. However, during of course this during the post match, Anthony Bowens had to say that now is the time for him to level up. Basically, it's time for him to step away from being a tag team wrestler, making his way as a singles competitor. And he recently mentioned in Fightful Select that he wants to be the first gay person to win a championship as a singles run. Hopefully he gets it. And like I say, I think if it was me, I would say he would definitely go for the TNA championship. But we'll see. That's something I definitely would love to see. What do you guys think? You guys leave a comment and you let me know. Now, Megan Bayne ends up in a, 2-on-1 match. Well, Penelope Ford was there, but their opponents are none other than LMK and Kelly Madden. This match ended quickly, of course. I mean, Megan Bayne is sending a direct message to the entire AEW Women's Locker Room, and she put the F5 onto Kelly, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. Next up, we have Kevin Knight taking on AR Fox. Now, these guys have challenged each other before. It was in Ring of Honor, but that match ended in a time limit draw. So that kind of sets it up right there. So basically, you can call it a rubber match if you want. But the real question is, will Kevin Knight prevail or would he fall? I mean, I would say I would love to see him prevail because he has a lot to offer, and I think that's pretty much it. And he applied, of course, the infamous Spike DDT, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, we did see the Gates of Agony having a good win. However, it appears that now they have their sights set on the Hurt Bit Syndicate. They want to, of course, maybe have a title shot, but I think, as you know, the Hurt Syndicate's always said, have a match and prove it to me. So I think that could happen. But they said, you guys like to hurt people? Well, we like to get hurt, and it makes us what we are. So I would like to see it. Now our next match, FTR versus Daddy Magic and Cool and Edge, but this match became a full-blown massacre. Daddy Magic was bleeding out and all this other stuff. Basically, FTR was determined to destroy them. However, there was a moment, of course, where Daddy Magic was already giving up on his own body. They were attempting to even hurt him for. But however, Daniel Garcia, who was there earlier, tried to tell him to back away, that he's already had enough. And they did. They managed to pin him, and just like that, it was over. However, Daniel Garcia had his back turned in order to help Daddy Magic until, of course, FTR showed up, decided to attack him, and tried to put him in a spike pile driver. They already did that once, but they were attempting to do a second time. Out of nowhere, the newly crowned TNT champion, Adam Cole, along with, of course, Strong and O'Reilly, showed up to give a helping hand. So we don't know what's going to happen from here and out. But yeah, so we'll see where that leads. Alright, our next match is part of the another women's Owne Hart Cup tournament. We have Athena versus Harley Cameron. I mean, many of us would love to see Harley Cameron succeed. I mean, she has changed a lot, we're not going to lie. Athena, who's been the longest reigning champion, or women's world champion, that says it all. But however, Athena is determined to prove why she is the forever champion and why she should be the one winning the AEW Women's Championship. and she was able to pick up the win on Harley Cameron when she applied the Eclipse, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. However, of course, Mercedes Moné is determined to watch this match, and of course, she tells her, "You may be, of course, the forever champion, but however, I'm the best who holds these belts, and also money changes everything." Now, I may try to ask all of you, who do you think will walk out as this year's winner? If Mercedes Moné, in my opinion, wins the Owen Hart Cup, she may have to drop all the belts so they can put her mostly focused on the AEW Women's Championship. Now, I'm sure many of you would think, you don't want to see her win, but that's me uh, going out that way. But we'll see. Now, our main event is another of the Owen Hart Cup tournament. With the men's, we have Konosuke Takeshita versus Brody King. Now, Brody King, of course, he's a big dog. You know how he is. Brody King likes to maul people no matter what. But however, Takeshita was able to overcome it, every inch of him, until he got him with a knee strike, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, over. So it was done right from there. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for our AEW Collision. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. As always, let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. Now, normally we would do this with GCW as always, but however, we have updates from Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Starting with that, as you know, there's two events happening in the same year. There is the Northern Rising event, and it's going to take place on the 10th of May. However, another name has been added in the 20-man championship gauntlet. That's Michael Allen Richard Clark. He has been added. However, recently Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling has announced another event that will take place in July on the 5th, called Resurrection, in Toronto, Quebec, Canada. And this is, of course, they announced PCO is there. It would make sense that they put in there because many of you may know this, PCO, he is French Canadian, so it would make sense on that. Now, we have Deadlock Pro Wrestling updates here. As you know, they have their Las Vegas show that will take place on the 18th of April in Las Vegas. We have, of course, an Ultimate Conflict 12-man wrestlers involved. So basically, whoever wins will be crowned brand new DPW World Champion. Now, I don't know I did not write down the names, but it will be interesting. However, as you know, DPW will have a 2-night event in Japan called Spirit Rising. However, 2 matches have been announced for 2 different days. On night 1, on the 24th, we have Emi Sakura. She'll team up with the Best Bros, Mei Shruga and Balanaki, taking on Hagane Shino, Miya Yatsube, and Chi Koshikawa. And then, of course, on night 2, on the 25th of April, we have Emi Sakura, Chris Brooks, Mei Shruga, and Balanaki taking on Miyuki Takase, Violence is Forever, and Ryo Mizunami. So that's pretty much the updates on those promotions. Now, there are other names that have been added. As you know, on the 18th of April, they have, of course, more with the WWE ID Championship Tournament that will take place in Future Stars of Wrestling on the 18th. Another opening round has been added. Marcus Mathers versus Jackson Drake. TakaTaichiMania is returning after a couple years. As you know, they stopped doing this show when the Suzuki-gun has called it quits, and it's coming back on May 7th, and it's going to take place in Cork and Hall. Now, no announcements who's going to be involved, but I wouldn't be surprised if members of the GTO roster will be participating in this event. I definitely would love to see. Now, Kitsune Women's Wrestling has announced for a match that will take place for the San Diego event on June 7th. We have Alex Gracia, Jin Sevani, and Milo. So that's pretty much it. And finally, as you all know, I mentioned this, Yoshi wrestler Tai Hamna, who will also be here for the Kitsune Women's Wrestling, has announced that she'll have the first and last indie show that she will produce, and it will take place on the 30th of May. No, no, the 30th of August in Shinjuku Face. And it's noted, as you know, it's been mentioned now that she'll be retiring exactly on October 13th in Shinjuku Face, part of the Ramanur Festa. So basically, it's an event taking place. So she hasn't announced who's going to be involved. I wouldn't be surprised if she called people like Maiko Zaki, Sayuri Anu, Natsupoi, those people. So anyway, yeah. Moving on, we're done with the updates. Let's move on to updates with WrestleCon. As you know, another name has been added, and he's going to be there for the Friday event. TJP, or as we know him, TJ Perkins in WWE. He'll be participating on that. And then finally, for some developments, this was recently been posted on X. It appears Tony Khan has announced that there will be a new ROH championship that will be crowned later on in Super Card of Honor, and this title is the ROH Women's Pure Championship. So basically, it's more like the technical aspect. I wouldn't be surprised if Serena Deeb is involved in this match, but it seems now that ROH will have 3 women's championships involved. So that's pretty fun. Rocky Romero had something to say, regardless about, of course, the collaboration between New Japan, AEW, and CML, and this is what he had to say. Let me pull it up for all of you, so that way you guys can hear what he had to say for this. Here it is. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipeline very, very soon. I'll say that. I think that's where AEW is now. Now, trying to make it international, and I like to see AEW go over Japan, do a proper Dynamite or Collision there, or pay-per-view there. It would be amazing. So basically, Rocky has been working his butt off to try to get AEW to do a Japanese show, and that is something that I think Eddie Kingston mentioned before, and I think Rocky is basically saying we really want to have them there. And I'm sure many fans in Japan will like to see it too. Not to mention, imagine if Mina comes back and people will give her a standing ovation for that. So I wouldn't be surprised if she is in the main event for that. But we'll see. Hopefully things can pull through on that. But as of right now, I think we are officially done with everything with our reviews and news updates. So let's just call it a day. Alright, so I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, I haven't decided yet. I mean, I know there's a recent Stardom event, a recent Mighty Gold event, Marvelous, that sort of thing, and I'm behind on Tokyo Pro Wrestling, Choco Pro, and a few others. But we will see how things will progress at the moment. So just wish me luck. Hopefully we can get things settled. So if anything, let's just wing it. So as of right now, I will say this, and I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.